What is Clemson's biggest problem at the moment? If I left that open-ended, I'm sure we would have got plenty of answers for what was wrong with Clemson, but had to limit it to four. The options were talent, player development, inexperienced coaching, and discipline. Before Matthew and I share our results or our thoughts and we reveal the results, do want to read some of our Twitter comments on this. Clemson Matt says, if you compare position by position to the 2018 team, there may be two guys that would start. It's hard to have 2018 expectations without 2018 talent. Compared to 2016, maybe five guys would start. Cindy says all of the above. Kimberly says I want to pick more than one. Spirit of the Valley says I think inexperienced coaching and underdeveloped players go hand in hand together. I also did think about that after I posted that. But thank you to all who participated and commented. Matthew, what is your thought on this poll?
I forget the name of who you just mentioned, but when I first read the question, I was stuck between player development and inexperienced coaching. And as I was like writing out my thought process of that, I convinced myself that it's inexperienced coaching because they're related. You can't
Yeah,
have players develop under coaches who've never developed players before. So I think it falls back like the root of the problem would be inexperienced coaching, and that kind of everything else falls in line. I'm not sure on the discipline thing. I feel like outside of a few things, like Clemson is a pretty disciplined team. I don't feel like that's an aspect that Dabo will usually like let slide. Like he's usually pretty hard on that. So, and talent, I think everybody, or other than these 11%, knows that this is a top 10 team in the country based off of recruiting composites and how many people or like what type of recruits are on our team. It happens once they get here.
yeah. And that's why I think your answer has to be inexperienced coaching. Like you pointed out, Dabo hires a bunch of former players that have little to no coaching experience, and nothing against the coaches themselves personally, but if you've never done it before, don't have the experience to do it, you're not going to be great at your job. I look at my job that I started 10 years ago compared to today, I was absolutely horrible. So I think the fact that you're going and getting guys that worked hard and came through your program and were great athletes, but that doesn't necessarily always transition into coaching. So I agree. I think it's inexperienced coaching.
Yeah, and I
As far
think
as
I was just gonna say I think other schools hire former players as coaches also, but I think Clemson got put in a situation to where we had hired a bunch of former players as like lower level assistants, and then we had a big coaching turnover where our defensive and offensive coordinator left in the same year, and we had to replace those. And Dabo's more of a promote from within guy, which in a business I agree with. I'm not sure that it relates exactly here, but I think it's like good for culture to promote from within. So, uh, yeah, and I don't know. There's
yeah,
a lot of
and
problems.
I saw somebody point out. I hadn't gone back and looked at it. It might even been Mickey Plyler. Um, that Georgia has more former players on their coaching staff than Clemson. So that kind of lends itself to your point that um, maybe it's the right guys or the right guys in the right position, and not necessarily putting these guys in on-field coaching positions.
Yeah, and I want like one to point out. I'm not sure that CJ Spiller has done like a poor job or anything at Clemson. Like I can't point out any specific running back coaching type thing other than fumbles, but that's more I feel like that's more of a team thing to focus on also. But one in particular is Tyler Grisham, and I know he gets a lot of flack on Twitter from fans about him being inexperienced. I just haven't seen any improvement in receivers or development in receivers that we've brought in, and it's like, are we like what are we even teaching them? because I know Jeff Scott,
Yeah.
when he was over the receivers, was teaching them a lot. So
Yeah. So the talent received 11% of the vote. Player development 21%, discipline 26%. I was kind of surprised that that one was the second highest, and then inexperienced coaching with 42% of the vote. So the people do agree with us on that one. So thank you to everybody who voted. Thank you to everybody who commented on Twitter. Appreciate your participation each week.